And by this, I'm not saying something in a diplomatic tone, but something that is indeed the truth, that thanks to the new policy pursued by Commissioner Varhelyi, who is the person entrusted by the European Union to care for this region, and as such he is the person whose voice is heard when he speaks of the region, has managed to increase the attention towards the region like never before. The economic and investment plan is something unprecedented, and we are not talking about investments that are slightly bigger than what we carry out ourselves. It is rather the opposite. This is about much greater investment as compared to what the Balkans countries could actually afford themselves. Second, the Commissioner did not mention in this conference, but I will do so. Before he came here to meet me, he was in the field to check some of the investments of the European Union. We have allocated a large volume of the state funds to the reconstructions, but truth must be told as it is, that the European Union has put a considerable volume of funds, not loans, but grants, to the reconstruction of the schools and of the kindergarten. So this ambitious program of reconstructing the schools and kindergartens is a program where the government, the Albanian government, has done and the conditions and what has been done for the children and for the teachers speak for themselves. Third, neither myself nor the Commissioner said it, but the European Union, together with Albania, have been very seriously committed to a highly strategic project for both Albania and the region, that is the Adriatic-Ionian pipeline, or Ionian Adriatic, as you wish, since it starts from Fier with TAB to go up to Montenegro and Croatia and Bosnia. We can also call it the Ionian Adriatic pipeline. Both Commissioner Varhelyi, first and foremost, the Commission as a whole, myself and all of us have intensified talks with Azerbaijan to have as soon as possible full capacities to start the construction of this pipeline. And for this project, funds are coming from the European Union, although other actors may decide to get involved as partners in such a major investment. So, for this many reasons, I would not say that the US have got a stronger attention on the region than the European Union. And last, we are in full synergy between the US and the EU today, and it is very important because that has not always been the case. So there is a thorough and complete synergy between them, and the US, on the other hand, through their representatives, are actually involved in a process to push forward the opening of the accession negotiations for both Albania and North Macedonia. And this is only something, there are so many other things to be included. I believe, and this is not new, but since you asked, that what's happening in Ukraine is not an additional reason to think that we are going to have a second Ukraine in the Balkans. It is rather another reason to think of intensifying efforts for peace in the Balkans. Of course, it is easier to say, so it is easier said than done when it comes to the final peace. But the commissioners stated it, and everybody says it, that there is no other way. Even the history of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, whose culmination we are witnessing today, has gone through a process that has to teach us a lot on the whys of this process to intensify efforts to go towards final peace. And the peace is not with a friend, the peace is made with the enemy. So in this case, you make peace with the enemy of yesterday, who is not today's friend, today's Kosovo friend, but is there. Neither Serbia nor Kosovo will disappear. They are there. Kosovo is a reality that is there. No one can change it. Serbia as well. It is both in the interest of the two parties to make final peace with one another. This is out of any question. As far as I understand, and as much as I can understand from the approach of all the European chancelleries, the approach by Brussels, the approach, or let's say, the approach of all the European leaders, including the United States, I have not found a single one of them saying that Kosovo must not sit in a dialogue with Serbia. I have not found anyone who says that. Everyone repeats the same thing. And these are not pro-Serbians or anti-Kosovans. These are people who represent the saviors of Kosovo, so that we are clear about that. These countries, these states, save Kosovo, the major EU countries and the United States of America. Without them, Kosovo would not be independent, regardless of my respect for the army of Kosovo. And if these people, these leaders, repeated again and again that there must be dialogue, and final peace is only a result of a dialogue, I don't see how we can see it differently. Of course, there are different opinions on different matters, but it takes patience. And let me quote a great friend of Albanians, of all the Albanians, but who is also a friend of Serbia, Prime Minister Orban. This process takes strategic patience. Strategic patience is not an Albanian or a Balkans virtue, but it requires strategic patience. Microphone, please, we can't hear.
I'm sorry, but I did not receive an answer when it comes to the Prime Minister about the decoupling of Albania from North Macedonia if negotiations will not be open during the French presidency. What's going to happen?
From the Prime Minister? From you? From me you have?
Nga unë e morët përgjigjen.
Well, I think he already answered, and I do want to repeat what we have talked about in the course of the years and what we have talked about together. The focus here is to persuade Bulgaria and to have us both go ahead. But now you want us to have a statement that would spoil everything that is being done with Bulgaria, and this can't happen. We must do our best to have both yeses. Our own yes, and also the go-ahead of North Macedonia. This is what we have to do. Of course, it would seem easier that Albania had started long before and thinking that what do we have, or let's say, why do we have to get stuck due to North Macedonia and Bulgaria. But as I mentioned, for Kosovo, together with Kosovo, we are countries with a relative importance vis-à-vis the issues our friends and partners are faced with. So we must understand the other side of the story. We can't stamp our feet and say that we want it now and we do not want it otherwise, because otherwise we are going to get locked in the toilet, just like with the children who stamp their feet in the movies. We must be patient. We must ask for what we are due. But in order to get what we are due, in this case, we only will have it together with our partners. We can't force their hand. So, for the moment, we respect the requirements and requests of the partners in order to work with the process until the end of June. In this case, even if it does not work, even in this case, we will change course and we are going to explain that we can't endlessly wait for Bulgaria. And of course, we will also have much more understanding in this case, because we will not have been an obstacle for them to try everything. That's how it works. You can't, a tango takes two. Can you imagine 27 other people who actually have to dance? We have to burn this handkerchief of the single man very carefully.
The Albanian public broadcaster, for you, Commissioner, if in June too there will be a failure for the opening of negotiations for Albania and North Macedonia, what is left to the Commission? What else is left for the Commission to propose when all of the criteria, as you said, have been met, and yet the Council will keep refusing? And for you, Prime Minister, with the political changes and also the change of government in Montenegro,